Hey guys, it's Katie from Shire Ranch. Today I am making hot and sour soup because it is Chinese New Year and it is one of my favorite dishes from my favorite Chinese restaurant back home, Pearl House. If you're in Citrus Heights, go to Pearl House. You know what I'm talking about. It is the best Chinese food ever. And today I am making basically a copycat recipe of that. This is the recipe that I found to be the closest to that one. And what I'm doing is I have chicken stock, dried mushrooms, white pepper, cornstarch and water, soy sauce, bamboo shoots, and green onions. And then instead of tofu, we're doing something a little different that I will show you later. But right now I have a pot of water boiling, and it is boiling. And that is what I am going to be using to rehydrate our mushrooms. So I've weighed out an ounce of shiitake mushrooms, and I'm going to put that into our hot water. Now I'm going to go get a plate so that we can keep these babies submerged. Alright, that's pretty inventive. Alright, I took a crock and put that in there, so those are going to stay submerged for about 20 to 30 minutes. Then we'll come back and finish the soup. It's a super easy and quick soup to make. So the most difficult part is rehydrating mushrooms, and you could always use fresh. And I'm not a huge mushroom fan, but these are really good in there. So let's let those soften up so that we can cut them and dice them, because I'm not eating a whole mushroom. That's just not happening. And we'll be back to make the rest of the soup. Okay, so our mushrooms are rehydrated, and we're going to drain them now, but we're going to save the water from soaking them because we want the mushroom water. So let's drain them and get them diced up. Before we chop these up, we're going to put them into a colander and rinse them off to get any dirt or grit off of them. So we've got those rinsed off. I'm going to go ahead and chop these up. Alright, so you could leave them like this. I am not a fan of mushrooms, so I'm gonna kind of give them a little bit more of a chop so I don't get big chunks of mushrooms when I'm eating my soup. Alright, so that's probably good. So now we're ready to start putting everything together. So we're going to start with 5 cups of chicken stock. Homemade is better, but this is what I have. So that's 4 cups, and then we'll measure out an additional cup. Now, we're going to run this through a strainer real quick. And that's the mushroom water. We'll add in the mushroom water. And let's go ahead and take this over to the stove. We're going to turn on our stove to medium heat while we get this going, and we're going to add in 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. Now we're going to add a teaspoon of ground white pepper. So one of the reasons, the reason to use white pepper especially in this is because it won't you won't really be able to see it like you would black pepper. And we're also going to add the mushrooms. And I'm going to give that a little bit of a stir. And we're going to cover that and bring it to a simmer. Okay, while we're waiting for that to simmer, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch with 4 tablespoons of water. Mix that up a little bit. Got that mixed. Alright, so now we need 3 scallions, thinly sliced. So we have our scallions. So now we're just going to wait for that to come to a simmer, and we're going to get our special ingredient ready to go. I'm going to run up to the freezer and grab that. And here is our special ingredient. This is, instead of tofu, I use potato gnocchi. And this is homemade potato gnocchi. The reason why I use gnocchi rather than tofu is I don't really like the texture of tofu. And buying a thing of tofu for this, I don't use a whole thing. So it's not like worth it. But I do like gnocchi, and gnocchi does this same thing of kind of absorbing flavors. So this was a whole recipe. I'm not exactly sure how much I made, and I've been using, in the past I would use store-bought gnocchi, which comes in 1 pound packages. So we're just gonna measure out a pound. Let me grab my scale. Okay, here is our scale. Turn on our scale. I'm going to put our bowl on and tare it, and I'm going to change it to pounds and ounces, and we're going to go from there. So this particular gnocchi recipe, this is the 2nd or 3rd time I've made gnocchi homemade, but this is the first time I used whole milk flour for our gnocchi. And I use soft white wheat, so I'm really hoping this turns out well. Almost there. 14 ounces. 15. Close enough. Alright, so here are our potato gnocchis. Gnocchi is also a super easy thing to make. I'll probably do a video on those. But right now I'm going to put these back in the freezer to finish freezing so that I can put them in bags. Alright, we are simmering, and now we're going to go ahead and add our bamboo shoots, our scallions or green onions, and our gnocchi. I'm a little afraid that I used a little bit too small of a pot here. So I'm just gonna do our gnocchis a little bit at a time. It is a bit full, so we're gonna bring that to a simmer again and let it simmer for 5 minutes. Okay, so I switched pots because I was getting way too nervous with the red one. It was too close to the top for me. So I switched to the bigger one, Now, we're gonna add the cornstarch and water mixture and bring it up to a boil. And we're gonna boil it for 2 minutes. Okay, now we're gonna add in what makes this sour. A 1/4 cup of white vinegar. I'm gonna stir that in. And I'm gonna take this off the heat. So we're gonna move over here. So we took it off the heat. Now for the final touch, well, almost final touch, we're gonna add in 1 egg whisked. So we're taking off the heat and we stir. We get it going pretty well and drizzle in the egg. Okay, now we have our bowl, but there's one more thing that this bowl needs. A little bit of garnish. So we'll add some more green onions, like that, for garnish. Alright, so that is how to make hot and sour soup, and I am going to go celebrate the beginning of the year of the ox with this wonderful homemade, my version of hot and sour soup. Alright guys, if you have any questions about our hot and sour soup, leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and as always, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button so you can see what's going on at Shire Ranch and around our homestead all of the time. And until next time guys, bye!